gentlemen, welcome back to HMP. I hope you got your space dusters on because Sean Likes Spaceship Month continues as we cover Space Sweepers. I am your host, Adam Portress, and I'm joined today. Some call him Space Cowboy. We just call him Sweet Sean Kovacs from the internet.
Some people call me Maurice.
And he's our own little fart machine, and he's back. Bruce Leslie.
I'm a prickly pear, and I don't make trash. I just go around space collecting it.
Ooh, I don't. Yeah, we've collected a whole bunch today, everybody, and we're putting it on display for you because you have collectively said, "Ooh, Slee, I'm getting it all together." Collectively said that we should have Sean Likes Spaceships Month over here at HMP, and Sean has picked us out quite the spaceship flick here in Space Sweepers from 2001 from Korea, if I'm not mistaken.
2021.
Yes? 2021. What did I say? 2001, 2021. I'm a little off there. But yeah, so what brought us to Space Sweepers? Was it just that it was something that wasn't 1976 and trying to rip off Star Wars hardcore?
Here is the story behind the story, which is that, I have that list. Like I have the list of all of these space movies and oh, that's interesting. I've never heard anyone speak about this before. It's not well-trodden territory like people, hey, we're going to review The Room. Oh, wow. New area. Great job. And so that's one of the things that I wanted to do with this, right? And so this is the rare case where I actually have seen this before. And what I remembered before watching it again this week is that I remembered liking it except for something. That's all I could remember. I really like this movie except for something. And then it came and it came crashing down the thing that I didn't like about it. And it made me so mad this week because I was like, this might be the perfect movie. Like we'll get into it later, but like
I was surprised because when we had actually chosen this and everything, Patreon supporter and all around good guy, Marty actually said he'd seen Space Sweepers in one of his favorite movies. So I was like, oh wow, people have seen this already. So I was excited to kind of get into it. It seemed like something at least a couple people had discovered previously. So yeah.
Well, it's a cool movie. It's easy to find because it's on Netflix. It's one of those things where it's like, it gets lost in the shuffle really quick if you're not somebody who's like, I like spaceships.
I thought it was cool because it seems like something, to be redundant, something that was kind of cool that somehow managed to slip through my radar at a time when I think we were all looking for something that was a little bit better than average to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So I always like that. I just like it that I'm not continuing to miss it at this point, I guess.
Indeed. Well, and like I said, we got here based upon you guys voting, and you can head on over to patreon.com/HMP, support this show at any level and get yourself pre-show, post-show, dinger zone, and of course, get to vote on what we watch. And we got our vote up this week. We got our Once Bitten, Twice Shy. That's our werewolves. Remember, we're looking for October here. Ghost of Halloween Past, The Occult, Slash-a-Mataz, that's our slasher category, Monster Mashup, and Children's Halloween. That's when we're looking at stuff that's in the kin to like our Mr. Boogedy, stuff like that, the lower kids and all that mess.
Are these topics assigned to individual providers here, or is this just?
Well, we've got you on werewolves, that's for sure. So there's no problem there. So like I know that was certainly where you were headed, I believe. So we got you there. The others we'll mix and match as needed.
Since I was the one who suggested the fun sized one, the family, like children's Halloween movies. I'll take that.
We'll put that on his head, and he has to be the one that's responsible for that in one way, shape, or form. So then we could point fingers. We go, hey, listen, Sean Loves Spaceships Month was fine, but maybe who knows? We got to see what he can pull us something off.
Boogity babies. That's what we'll call it. Boogity babies.
Boogity babies. Ooh, that's
Boogity babies. That's even better.
Done and done.
Boogity baby.
If you'd like to vote on that and support this show at the same time, patreon.com/HMP. We thank all of you fine folks for that. Let's get into it, everybody. Here's the IMDb plotline for Space Sweepers. As we know, IMDb always 100% correct in everything they say and or do. Set in the year 2092 and follows the crew of a space junk collector ship called the Victory when they discover that a humanoid robot named Dorothy that's known to be a weapon of mass destruction, they get involved in a risky business deal. I mean, sure, that is the plot,
Sorta.
but that's dry for what the plot is.
And I mean, it's only like a quarter of the plot of this movie.
Yeah. This is written by Sung Hee Jo, Seung Min Yoon, Xiao Young Kang, and directed by Sung Hee Jo. It's 2021 in Korean. Like I said, I had no idea. I don't even think I watched a trailer for this. I don't think I knew anything about anything on this.
Really? So you went in totally blind to this?
100%.
Same here.
Oh, that's great.
So Bruce, with with a title like Space Sweepers, what were you expecting? Was it Space Janitors? Because that wasn't what I got.
That is what I was expecting. The Space Sweepers, I really thought it was going to be like, man, this is going to be odd, but I want to see people sweeping in space. It did not have nearly enough space sweeping for me, but I don't want to get
you know what honestly what came to mind when Space Sweepers came up. And it's funny because we're right after Labor Day weekend here where Dragon Con takes place. And on Dragon Con TV, they have this little puppet thing that they have always done in like interstitials. In each of the host hotels, you have a constant Dragon Con television feed that has like panels that are live streaming or streamed earlier in the day. And they have like different little comedy bits and other things that they strewn in the middle there. And there are these two characters who are busy sweeping up all the stuff in the convention, and they're wearing like little hazmat suits, but they're hazmat puppets, and they're talking back and forth. That's what I always thought this would be. Space Sweepers. Just those little puppets sweeping up the little convention and having
it's a
nerd conversations.
It's not quite that.
Not quite.
I also didn't expect it to have a complicated plot with a name like Space Sweepers.
Well, if that wasn't enough, let me sell everybody else on this 2021 Korean sci-fi film because this sucker's got everything. Merry Christmas! You'll get it when you see the movie. I don't know, but we open up. There's a little update on the future, and let me tell you, brother, it ain't good. And if the movie was good, though, would we even continue on? No, you need the future to be bad. Riding in the bus to work into space, we got Junk wrangling, a robot that wears Adidas like Sean, but acts what I would imagine Bruce would be like if he was hyped up on Adderall. We got a ship full of cheats, a little girl bomb, not a bomb, who's to say? The spice flows. We got talking smack to the popos, nightclub shooting spree, French guitar playing in space, tomato sales, backstory fill-ins, everybody poops, good manners, crazy jumping, harpoon throwing, nanobites, crazy robot seizing, flashbacks, family reunions, more flashbacks, a gun that greets you hello, light tunnels, the old switcheroo, the slowest of mode deaths, and a return in and a death run Star Wars ripoff that will have you, and more fake endings than Return of the King. This movie's got everything. I screwed that whole thing up, but we've tried.
Yeah, it's got a lot of stuff.
There is a lot in it. So you want to get into it?
Yes,
yeah,
please.
The runtime, I just checked. The runtime was 5 hours and 53 minutes.
I believe that's correct.
It sure felt like that.
Holy moly. Let's get it right off the bat. This movie is ungodly long. It's not a bad movie, long. But so sweet Christmas, it's long.
So imagine that you're doing a scene-by-scene breakdown of this movie.
My goodness.
Especially when there's like 44 scenes where it's hard to say if anything happened.
Yeah.
Right. So this movie is directed by Sung Hee Jo. Two other movies that he directed that now I want to check out after looking into him. One movie is called The Phantom Detective, and the other one, Bruce, I hope you're still listening, is A Werewolf Boy.
Ooh, I like that.
He does look like a fine young Korean man. Like it looks like a CW version of that from the poster that I saw.
It looks like MTV's Teen Wolf, basically, but Korean.
Exactly.
So right at the title card, I have questions because it says the name of the production company. The production company bringing this movie to you is called Merry Christmas.
Why?
And I'm already pissed that we didn't think of that name for our production company.
It's true.
We then cut to a black card that reads, in 2092, forests vanish and deserts spread. Fading sun and acidic soil cause plants to disappear. Fleeing the sick earth, UTS Corporation builds a new orbiting home for humanity, but only a chosen few can ascend. Go ahead.
That kind of sounds like Elysium. Was that so? I
Yes.
never saw Elysium,
It is,
but
yes.
I saw the trailers, and if I'm correct, Elysium was well before this and Neil Blomkamp, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And I would say to you that Elysium is just beating you over the head with its messaging.
Yeah, not subtle, that film.
And neither is this one. I mean, Space Sweepers isn't subtle either, but at least it's not constantly bludgeoning you with its message, whereas Elysium does.
Yeah, at least when they're up in space and doing their stuff in this movie, they're up in their space. Like, they only will tangentially, mention Earth every now and then. Like, oh yeah, by the way, things kind of suck down there and everything. But they don't go back to it nearly as much as Elysium's. Like, we're down here and they're up there. Blah blah blah. Shut up.
Yeah, so much of that. So we get a look at Earth, and it's super post-apocalyptic. Sky is orange. It's dusty as all get out. It looks a lot like Wall-E, except there's still people living on Earth, and no one is fat. One of these non-fatties is our main character, Tai Ho. We meet him as he's attempting to get into a building called UTS Lost and Found, but he's got to pay the troll toll to get in. And all he has is a bag of rice. A few security guards are about to kick him out when the lady in charge says, "Give me them gravity boots you're wearing and that bag of rice, and you and me are square." So he does. And as we're watching this scene unfold, we're trying to figure out what he's looking for at the UTS Lost and Found. Maybe it's the Star Wars droids lunchbox because it's super rare and hard to find in good condition to complete his set of original vintage Star Wars lunchboxes. Or maybe it's the recipe for an amazing chicken salad. But no, it's much sadder than that. He's looking for his daughter, and UTS Lost and Found is a morgue. They show him a new girl at UTS Lost and Found who just came in, and it turns out that it's not her. Do you guys have any notes for that?
I thought this was an interesting idea.
I would say that it was, not exactly fresh territory to have the missing daughter and then the young supernatural girl comes into your orbit. Pretty tried and true. But if you're spending, and for Korean cinema, the kind of money they spent for this, you're going to want to play it safe a little bit with story, I think. So, yeah, some tried and true story.
I will say this now, while you're correct, Bruce, and there is a lot of and this movie is chock-a-block full of tropes and all of these things, they never necessarily feel forced or, like they shouldn't be there. It doesn't feel out of place, which is nice.
That's how they're supposed to be. I mean, tropes serve a purpose. They're to help you feel comfortable, sort of shorthand, so you know the world you're in. And when they're done well, they're not cliche. Like, trope and cliche are two different things.
True.
Yes.
So when a trope's done poorly, it can feel or be cliche. But tropes are an important part of storytelling, and you need to know them. You're going to tell a
for sure. You need at
genre.
least one or two tropes in your movie, or otherwise people are like, "What am I watching? French New Wave? Why am I watching?"
I don't relate to any of this.
People, with storytelling, tropes are like chords in music making. Yes, you need to make an original song, but you don't have to invent your own chords along the way.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
We then hear a posh British voiceover say, "Hope was extinct. Earth was still breathing, but it was on life support. With Earth no longer habitable, the only place to go was up." And we see Tae-ho going to work in a great scene where he's taking the bus and everyone's miserable and wearing gas masks. And then he hops on a space ring that shoots him up into space. It's super cool looking.
Now, I got a question. Because this is a 2021 film, can we assume that this might have been shot around COVID time and everything, and like with the masks? Because I like, it's great design. I love how Earth looks and all the improvised, masks and stuff that everybody are wearing and stuff. And I wonder if that came like inclusive with the thing. Maybe, I don't know.
I gotta say, all the visuals, like both the production design and the visual effects, all the visuals looked way, way cleaner and better and on par with a much more expensive movie than this. Like, it looked way better than I expected.
Honestly, It is like, I would put it darn near close to, any of the Star Wars Disney stuff. Like, it looks kind of like that. Like, it's pretty close.
Absolutely. It looked way better than I was expecting.
Closer than your, what you would think your like sci-fi Korean TV show, because we've seen stuff like that before. It's like it's not
and,
it's good, but it's not nearly anywhere close to this good.
Really beautiful Korean cinema, but it's it's usually more like Parasite or something. It's not effects heavy stuff.
Yeah,
at least not in my personal experience.
This movie holds the distinction of being the first Korean movie set in space.
Huh.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Good. We then don't feel like as much of an because I started to know I'm doing that talk out of your butt where you might be saying leopards don't live in India again. So I'm glad you confirmed something for me there.
We then cut to a scene where we meet the founder of UTS, who is the richest man in the world, and he's 152 years old. His name is Jam Salyuan, and he looks like he's maybe just 35 years old when we see him. Immediately, we can tell he's the bad guy because he's a white dude in a Korean movie, and he looks like a tech bro. He's standing in the middle of a field, and he tells the reporters visiting a bunch of mumbo jumbo about genetically modified plant life, blah, blah, blah. We learn about a super plant he's created, blah, blah, blah. He wants to terraform Mars into a place that he calls Eden, and only exceptional people can go there. And he starts eating a sandwich with his filthy, soil-laden hands. And in another instance of showing us who the bad guy is, a reporter makes a face that says, "Your hands are disgusting." And he turns to the reporter and says the line, "My hand isn't dirty. Human beings are dirty."
Ooh.
You're disgusting, you filthy animal. What's hilarious, though, is like, what was this guy's plan? This reporter's plan? What was his plan on this? How did you think this was going to go, guy?
Well, we're getting there because that's a different reporter.
Oh,
I know
okay.
who you're talking. That is a different. There's several reporters in the room.
Can we? I just want to say that I'm absolutely surprised that they didn't make this guy American, that they made him British instead of American.
I think that they probably would have, but he's so archetypal American tech bro that let's make it 1 degree different.
Yeah,
is my guess.
I just thought that the white guy, the director, knew who agreed to do it just happened to be British. Like, let's.
Maybe.
I have no idea, man. I'm like thinking
it was colorblind casting, and they got the right one for the job here, Bruce. And you're over here making some.
I'm just thinking it's like that. It's like that thing where they cast George Takei to be a Korean, and we're all just cool with it, So
sure.
we had this one coming to us.
Sure, yeah, without a doubt.
He's totally American. What are you talking about? Look at him.
He's just as American as Elon Musk.
A jittery reporter that I've started calling Exposition Johnson starts speaking, and he says how 95% of Earth's population is still on Earth, living in hell, and space debris from UTS has become such a massive problem that it destroys other tech in space, that falls out of the sky, killing countless people still living on Earth.
So let's talk about this for half a second, because like just the overall, like, for lack of a better word, sweeping idea of this story is like all of this space junk has been flying around, and these people wrangle up this space trash that's flying around the Earth and falling into the Earth and killing people. But their job is like, space trashmen to go around and pick this stuff up so it doesn't go. And of course, that's obviously a very dangerous thing. But at the same time, too, it's like they're cowboys, they're out wrangling, the steer back into the thing, and
they're
all that
like
kind of
truckers.
Stuff. It's fun, yeah.
I was really almost getting like an alternative setup for a Guardians of the Galaxy type chemistry and vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then they're talking about all the debris in space. We then cut to a group of ships that work on collecting space junk. A group of space sweepers, if you will. These space sweepers are attempting to pull in a derelict space shuttle that's been smashing into orbiting space stations, and it's given them a real banger of a time. Everyone's from a different country, and everyone looks so very different. So different, in fact, that it looks like the Burger King Kids Club in space, except there's no one named Wheels.
Damn it. I was like, please, man, we need somebody. No wheelchair people. No good.
When all of a sudden, a ship named Victory comes into view, and the captain of Victory is a lady who curses like a lady trucker, which in a way she kind of is. And we meet her robot, whose name is Bub. who wears a jacket like Ryan Gosling in Drive, and this robot is totally pulling it off. They grab the space junk and they get the reward for bringing it in. But what's that? Who's that piloting the controls of the spaceship named Victory? Why, it's our main character, Tae-ho. To show you that he's really going through it, he isn't wearing shoes and he has holes in his socks.
Oh, poor guy.
It is like, it's the most comedic thing in this movie, I think, where his big toe is just hanging out of the sock, full toe.
See, so humor is difficult to translate, but two things are always funny: big toes and farts. This movie's got plenty of both.
We got plenty.
And at this point, if you haven't figured it out yet, I should tell you how much I love this movie, because it's sort of kind of punk rock. It's fast paced. And while some of the themes, like you were talking about before, Bruce, it's stuff we've seen before, you've never seen them like this. And the movie is pretty great, except for the ending. The ending sucks. The people who made this movie are cowards. But we'll get to that later. And like you said, Adam, the effects are better than Disney Plus shows. But here's the main thing. I really like the main characters of this movie. We cut to a scene where Tae-ho is trying to collect the money on their salvage job, but they destroyed more equipment than they saved. And the clerk at the desk is watching plot TV, because we learned that a lifelike child android has been droid-napped by an extremist group called the Black Foxes. That little android looks like a very cute little Korean girl, but the news is saying things like Dorothy is a weapon of mass destruction. If you encounter Dorothy, contact the authorities immediately. We cut back to the Victory, and I didn't mention it earlier, but there's another guy on the ship that powers the engines, and he's bad to the bone, Holmes, because he has dreads and tattoos and jacked up teeth, and he walks around with an axe, and his name is Tiger Park, and he thinks someone on the ship is stealing because he was saving a bag of rice for a special occasion. Everyone is playing Korean space poker, and the robot is winning, and he's being annoying, and everyone on the ship is on edge. And we learn how deep in debt the entire crew is, and everyone gets into a fist fight with everyone fighting everybody, and they all knock each other out except for the robot Bub.
Again, another great trope here that we are stealing lock, stock, and barrel from Alien. We're just like, I'm not getting my share. What's all this? Like, I love seeing that stuff. And again, they're doing it in a way that it doesn't feel like it's derivative. I know that's from Alien, but I don't care.
Yeah, because it's done differently enough.
Mm-hmm.
So the robot, Tiger Park, and Tae-ho begin salvaging the shuttle they brought in, when suddenly all the lights turn on. And Tae-ho investigates further, and you wouldn't believe it if you didn't see it for yourself. They find Dorothy, the missing android from the TV. They bring her in, and you know you're watching the right movie, because they do not like her when they first meet her. Even though she's turned the cuteness all the way to 11, these guys still don't like her.
There's no way you could look at this child and not go, well, that's adorable, I want to take it home. Because it is. It's like they got the cutest child that they possibly could, and they hate her.
What is it about, like, the bowl cuts that made me look so hideous as a child can make her look so cute?
I don't know what it is, but it's the little head, the little
roundness I can tell you part of it is the Korean, because the Korean bowl cut is the cutest thing in the world.
I think it's some way, I think their hair lays just in a certain way, probably
too.
For what it's worth, I may have gotten at least one of my bowl cuts from my Korean aunt. So
oh man,
hey.
I'd love to see a picture of that so bad.
Me too. So this cute android is dressed exactly like Rainbow Bright, for anyone over the age of 40 who might be listening. And they learn from watching TV that this cute robot, she's a little mass murdery. She explodes like a bomb, but remains unharmed herself. And there's a cute scene where she sneezes, and the crew thinks she's going to explode.
It was pretty good.
But the cute android isn't sure what's happening. So when they hit the deck, she also hits the deck so like cute. The rest of the crew. It's pretty adorable.
It's awesome, actually. That was my personal favorite funny joke.
As the crew runs away from Dorothy because they watch plot TV, they know that this Korean robot baby can blow up. And when no one is looking, she uses her magical robot powers to bring a dead plant back to life. And I am certain this will not come up later. The 4-person crew of Victory decide what they're going to do with this adorable robot baby. They're going to sell her to the terrorist group that stole her in the first place and might make a bunch of money. How much? How's 2 million space bucks sound?
Woo!
They would take the entire crew out of debt with enough money left over to go on Korean space vacation. They agree on the meeting point. And we learn who's behind all of this. It's the world's richest man, Tech Bro himself. Robot Baby starts to ingratiate herself to the crew, and they get to the meeting point, and it turns out to be a futuristic-looking Korean space techno disco, which is to say, it looks like a normal Korean techno disco, and everyone's wearing masks, and they're playing EDM that sounds like an Apple EarPods commercial, but look out! The whole thing is a setup, and everyone's going to be murdered by Tech Bro's evil army the second they see Robot Baby. The crew of the Victory gets the money, but the Robot Baby has escaped. She reappears on the dance floor, and everybody flips out, and the bad guys open fire.
This is the biggest problem. Hold on. The most unbelievable thing in this entire sci-fi movie is that every person has seen the news and knows what there's a little baby out there that's also possibly a bomb, and 2, they remember precisely what that looks like, and 3, while they're in this crazy club with all this crap going on, they all will stop on a dime to go, ain't that the baby I seen on TV? What got a bomb in it?
One thing I love about movies.
How do they all know?
One thing I love about movies is whether it's the distant past or the distant future, everybody watches the exact same news broadcast at the exact same time, though that's never happened in the present.
We got one channel.
Well, if I may play
the time.
If I may play Lou Cipher for a moment, the devil's advocate here. When it comes to something like, oh, there's a serial killer out there and he is in your town, like you probably have a good understanding that thing is happening. They in your
do
town.
give a little, like, somebody, they have like these hologram watch dealies that put her face on it and stuff like that. So like they would have seen, but boy, everyone turns and stares at the same time like she farted really loud.
It's true.
You're right about the serial killer, except in the modern day, there'd be a significant group of people saying the serial killer is not guilty. And that they're framed and that it's a conspiracy. So but everybody would be talking. So you're right about that.
So the laser bullets from Tech Bro's army dudes are about to hit Taeho, but Robot Baby stops the bullets using her magical robot powers. And the crew of the Victory barely escapes, and they don't even get the money. We cut to the Tech Bro boardroom, and he's so mad about losing baby robot and the crew of the Victory that his veins start growing out all over his face, and he looks like he's about to turn into Venom. It's a cool effect. Will this affect his terraforming Mars? Who knows? Maybe.
It's got a little extremist kind of vibe to him.
Yeah, a little extremist.
I like that. Yeah. And Thorin Oakenshield, Adam.
Oh yeah,
same actor. I just looked it up to see who this guy
was. Right?
He was just a friend or something. But no, he's Thorin Oakenshield. So, you got a chance to get one of the people from the Hobbit franchise in your movie.
Get him in there. Yeah. The good one, the good trilogy.
Yep. That's what everybody says about those. We learned that Taeho used to be in the UTS military, and he saved a little girl whose parents he had killed. And he raised her as if she was his own. And if that weren't enough heartstring tugging, turns out his little girl was also deaf. Oh, why was she deaf? Because it's his fault. Because he blew up her family ship.
Oops.
And after that, Taeho couldn't kill innocent people anymore. So he gets fired from UTS, from Tech Bro himself. And almost overnight, Tejo is crazy Pav. He's so Pav that him and his daughter have to live on the streets for a year. And one night, space debris smashes down, and Tejo gets separated from his daughter. They make it look like she got sucked into the vacuum of outer space, but no body, no death, right?
Oh, definitely.
We learn that Bubs wants to be a girl robot, and if Bubs can get enough money to get the proper skin grafts and procedures done, Bubs will look like a lady android. This plot line is not played for laughs, and keep in mind, this is a Korean movie. These are the same people who played a mentally handicapped man around because it was funny, if you remember. They just kept him around because it was funny in Shaolin Soccer.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's going to be a second meeting, but before it can happen, a bunch of goons in orange jumpsuits try to steal the robot baby, and the crew of the Victory beat them up. And the leader of the orange jumpsuits is a guy we met earlier, and the crew of the Victory is all like, what? We cut back to Tech Bro's boardroom, and who else is there? It's our favorite jittery reporter, Exposition Johnson.
And
he ends up getting...
Quick,
yeah, please.
Real quick, Shaolin Soccer. That was a Hong Kong production, so I won't blame the Koreans for that.
Oh, okay. There you go. Not the Koreans' fault. That's the Chinese fault.
I still blame you a little bit, Korea. Just a little bit. I don't know why, but I do. I'll just blame you just a tiny bit. You had nothing to do with it, but yeah.
So Exposition Johnson, our favorite jittery reporter, gets murdered by Tech Bro. And it's not made clear, but I think that Tech Bro sucks his life essence from him to remain young, but they don't really explain it. But basically the way I'm describing it is that Tech Bro is like a high-tech energy vampire or something. We cut back to the crew of the Victory and the goons in the orange jumpsuits, and it turns out that there's that these people are the terrorist organization that calls itself the Black Foxes. Only they're not a terrorist organization like Cobra. They're an environmental organization like Captain Planet. And the head of the Black Foxes asks a really great question that I thought was just a massive plot hole. And it's this: if Tech Bro can terraform Mars, why doesn't he just re-terraform Earth?
Yes, an excellent question. And by the way, if people want to know more about this group, feel free to Google Black Foxes. But anyway, yeah, they asked a question that, like, I felt ashamed that I hadn't already asked. Like, it showed I was giving this movie too much of a free pass.
Well, it is charming, and charm goes a long way. But that was a massive plot hole to me, and they fill it right in. We learn that Baby Robot isn't actually a robot at all. She poops. What kind of robot poops?
That's second that
you
she
want a
said
list?
that.
I got a binder full of pooping robots.
The second that she said that, though, I was just like, hold on, is this robot pooping? And then like 2 seconds later, they address it. I'm like, thank God for you, movie. Because I had this, I'm like, wait, hold on now. What?
In the comics, I'm pretty sure Vision poops.
Is it see-through?
No, but it passes right through the toilet.
Phases right through and just goes to the core of the earth or something.
They never let him use the upstairs bathroom anymore.
Hey, I'm reading, damn it.
Turns out Baby Robot had a congenital disease that was killing her. And as a last resort, her dad injected her with nanobots. Nanobots.
Like you
Baby Robot got healthy again. But as a side effect, she can make flowers bloom on a bush that used to be dead. She can stop laser bullets with her mind. Baby Robot isn't a bomb. She's the key to fixing Earth.
I love that nanobots are our current equivalent of what like the PC was in the early to mid 80s. You can do anything.
Yes.
Like Weird Science, you can create a hot lady with a PC. Now
Yeah,
nanobots make flowers grow.
just put in the right
Before
algorithm.
that, it was the Stanley gamma radiation.
Yes.
Tech Bro wants to use an atomic bomb, actually hydrogen bomb, to kill Baby Robot and over 2 billion people that still inhabit Earth because humanity is dirty. The UTS thugs start kicking on doors looking for more Black Foxes, and they're in the hallway that the Victory crew is in, this apartment complex thing. But the crew just walks on by because they're not black foxes. And as Tay-Ho and Robot Baby escape through a vent in the bathroom ceiling and start crawling around in the vent shafts like it's Die Hard. Tech Bros army attempts to kill Tay-Ho and Baby Robot, but Captain Lady Trucker flies in the victory, and they barely escape.
Yo, you missed the best part where they're up in the duct and everything. She has to sneeze yet again. This girl's sneezing like nobody's business. And then they'll say, "Oh, bless you." And then that's what catches the robot guards. Go, hold on. I hear some voices coming from the ducts upstairs.
That is pretty good.
Pop, pop.
Yeah. That is good.
I'm like, oh, you're just being polite. Oh, bless you. Oh, shoot. Maybe we shouldn't have said that.
So Tech Bros Army attempts to kill Tay-Ho and Baby Robot, but Captain Lady Trucker flies in with the victory, and they all barely escape, only to run into the garbage patch field that's infested with nanobots. The ship starts breaking apart, but Baby Robot uses her nanobots to talk to the bad nanobots. And then after she finishes that job, she collapses to the floor.
All the nanobot stuff was actually really cool. I thought that was an interesting, neat idea that we don't see a lot. Again, I feel like you could probably say it was a little Matrix-y in a sense, where, you know, they're underneath and all the squids are kind of coming. It's like a tiny little version of that in kind of a way. But visually, it looked interesting. It looked good, and they had, like, you know, just all those things like swarming up on the windshield, if you will.
Yeah, that was neat.
The spaceship and stuff like that. I would have loved to see them turn on some wipers and get them out of the way. But then,
that would have been
not
good.
a lot of call for wipers in space, though, I suppose. So maybe they don't have those on the front.
Now, did you guys see this dubbed, or did you see it subbed, or how did you guys watch it?
Well, it dubbed automatically kind of with the Netflix, so I guess it just assumes that I want the English, and of course it's got subtitles because it's a cornucopia of languages in this film.
Yeah,
and I watched, I guess, I mean, that might be like the default version. I won't say only, but the default version.
Yeah, probably like your default. Here you go, Whitey from Netflix.
Is that what you saw, Sean?
Yeah, I saw where Tay-Ho speaks English.
And what confused me a little bit on that, though, is you were talking about Bubs, the robot, and rather than a transgender sort of storyline, I thought that for the dub they had accidentally cast the wrong gender voice, because that's how cool everybody is with it, I suppose.
Yeah.
But when they first says we're girlfriends, I'm like, oh, okay, this is probably just because they didn't do the best job casting the dub. And then later I'm thinking, well, maybe that is the message there. But also, this, as beautiful as it looked, due to its length, it did lose to the phone a few times.
Yeah. It couldn't for me because I had a job to do, but I understand. Yeah. So Baby Robot collapses to the floor. The crew of Victory performs CPR on Robot Baby, and if I were a betting man, I would bet this was Bruce's favorite scene in the movie because Robot Baby farts herself awake.
You know, it was definitely inspired storytelling. I don't know if it was my favorite part or not, but it was inspired.
And everyone starts laughing uncontrollably, and as everyone's laughing uncontrollably, the robot Bubs says, "Be honest, you pooped a little bit too." And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the first instance of this movie stealing from the Star Wars prequels.
Yeah, you're right.
Hey, listen, they stole from all the Star Wars, so you got to give them credit there. I mean, we didn't go to an ice planet. I think that's about the only thing we didn't do.
The crew of the Victory escape, but now they're being called terrorists by the news. They decide they're going to return Robot Baby to her dad, and they do things to pass the time, like get into a water fight while washing her hair. And they get Robot Baby back to her dad, but you know something's up because there's still 45 minutes left in the movie.
There are so many times throughout this where you're just like, you pause it and you're like, where, or you put your little finger on the little Apple thing and then it pops up and shows you the time. And there's so many times you're just like, how in the heck have we not crossed more time than this? What is going on?
There were a couple of times too when I look in like that second number, when you're looking at the time bar, I start to think, that's the total runtime, right? That can't possibly be how much is left. But nope, that was always how much was left.
Yeah. Exactly. Always how much was left. And you're like, oh, for real? Still left with this to go. Okay. But don't worry, we have a lot of chance to have a water fight trying to wash somebody's hair. And have you ever seen a child be hit with water and stay that still? I don't think that ever existed in the history of the planet.
Are you kidding me? It's like acid has hit their face whenever water hits a kid's face while you're washing their hair.
Nuts.
It's a heartfelt reunion between father and daughter when Captain Lady Trucker notices something. The base is covered in EMPs. The EMPs go off seconds after she's seen them, and all power, including life support, shuts down. Bubs drops like Peter Griffin through a coffee table, and UTS ships surround the Victory crew. Soldiers kill everyone except for Baby Robot and the Victory crew, including Baby Robot's dad. Anything?
I liked how this whole setup and stuff of how we've got our main character. He's going out. He's looking for his daughter, essentially, or trying to, garner enough money so he can do that, and is coming across, almost essentially the exact same thing of this guy is having his daughter lost in the middle of all of this thing, and just seeing this guy get his, kind of wish fulfilled, so to speak. And him just being on that other end going like, oh my God, like I'm like, so this needs to be me now, please.
Sean, how deep have you gone? How familiar are you with the Expanse book series?
I've read all of them. I've gotten to the, I got, I've not all of them. I got to the one where, after everything is done and they're like, let's keep going. And I was like, oh man, this is not good. But
there's in the ones that you've read, there's a special little girl who's been exposed to something similar to this little girl.
Yes.
She has a father that's looking for her and runs across the crew, gets close to the rough member of the crew.
Yeah.
There's a lot of actual Expanse chemistry. I mean, we're talking about the way that good artists borrow and beg and steal or whatever. So another thing, there's a whole lot of Expanse, more specifically, I would say, from the books.
Yes.
From the TV show, because I haven't watched the TV show enough to know. But
I keep trying to get into it and I just can't get past the production value of when it was on Sci-Fi.
Yeah, that can hamper a show when you're just like, all right, we're in space. Why is everything made of cardboard?
Why do I get the distinct feeling they're in Canada right now?
There was something funny. There was this movie.
Like, look, Jane's haircut. It's going to distract everybody. Don't worry about the sets. Because he had a weird haircut.
He sure did.
They had that movie, it was called like High Life or something. This Pattinson movie, and it takes place in a spaceship, but like the spaceship halls all look like corridors in a hospital, and they're just like, shut up.
Yeah,
they're just like, that's what the inside of this spaceship looks like.
I was once in a spaceship movie where the hallways look strangely like a public high school.
Weird.
So to get back to it, Tech Bro shows up and offers Tejo an offer. What? Tech Bro shows up and offers Tejo some money. Take 4 million space bucks, but let Tech Bro take Baby Robot. She'll be blown up along with 2 billion others. And guess what? Tejo takes the money. Tech Bro talks a bunch of crap about how Tejo is a bad person, but all the charges against the Victory crew get dropped. Tech Bro and his army leaves. Power gets restored to the Victory. The crew of the Victory, when they wake up, decide that they're going to try and save Robot Baby, except for Tejo. He's going to look for his daughter now. He takes his share of the money and leaves, but we learn that Tech Bro was never going to let the Victory survive, and he has his space fleet point their guns at Victory as they have Robot Baby tied up on a hydrogen bomb that's about to drop and destroy Earth. But just as Tejo is about to sell out everything to find his daughter, he realizes through a series of flashbacks that somewhere along the way, Tejo forgot about the most important thing, to be himself. He throws that money in an incinerator, hops back on the ship, and in a great gearing up for war scene, Captain Lady Trucker puts a gun together from parts she had hidden all over the ship, and the gun turns on, and then it speaks to her. And it says, "It's been a long time, Captain Lady Trucker." Tech Bro's fleet starts firing missiles at the Victory, and Captain Lady Trucker starts taking them out with her talking gun. But there's too many of them. And Bubs takes his harpoon and starts taking out Tech Bro ships by hand.
Pretty cool
it
scene.
Is
Pretty cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
It is awesome.
Yeah, high point.
Yes. Second volley of ships come, and Tejo and Tiger Park make the ship go really fast, getting past the second round. They fly through the ship that holds the bomb in the middle. It's definitely nothing like the trench run from Star Wars.
Nope.
Because they're not flying through a trench. They're flying through a ship. They get to the bomb and save Robot Baby.
Wait a minute. Didn't they do that in Return of the Jedi? This is Return of the Jedi too. Like this whole movie is stolen. But I like that whole tunnel scene, and like because they all look neat and different.
It is. It's neat,
man. There's like the white one, and then the one with all the colors and stuff. Like very visually just neat. We don't see stuff like this, so that's why it's so nice to be like, oh, this is cool.
I can see this really rocking a lot of young Korean folks' world.
Sure.
Oh yeah, especially if you saw it in a theater too.
The crew of the Victory get to the bomb and save Robot Baby. Tejo and Robot Baby high five. It's a pretty good high five.
Yeah.
A woman from Tech Bro's army who may be a cyborg walks into the room and starts beating the crap out of everybody. But the Victory crew has to get Robot Baby far enough away from the bomb or she'll die. Even with the nanobots inside of her. They've got to get to a very specific point or she will die. Using the emergency channel, Victory asks the rest of the space sweepers for help, and Tech Bro shows up in his evil spaceship. Because the people who made this movie have seen Star Wars and a bunch of action movie stuff happens. And people say lines like, "You have to activate the emergency booster from outside." Okay. The Victory. But
by the way, I just want to say anything on a spaceship that can only be activated from outside, major design flaw future.
Yeah.
Unless you got a droid out there. Unless you got a droid out there that's got his little arms and stuff.
How many things on a submarine do you think can only be activated from outside? Just to give you a point of reference.
Well, if you go by
how many things on a commercial airliner?
Well, if you go by that sub that we just lost by the Titanic, you can only get in and out from the outside. I don't think that was the smartest of plans. So, you know.
The crew of the Victory pulls the switcheroo. And instead of taking Baby Robot far enough away from the bomb, they take the bomb far enough away from the Robot Baby. Hydrogen bomb goes off and destroys Tech Bro and the Victory, including everyone on the crew. Now, if this movie ended there, this movie would be one of the best movies ever made. But it didn't, because the people who made this movie are cowards. And they didn't kill off the crew. Instead, the nanobots that were on the ship earlier as the Victory went through the garbage patch, turns out they stayed on the ship and saved everyone from the explosion.
Because the garbage nanobots?
Yes. Because the people who made this movie are gutless cowards, Bruce. Onionless wimps who should be ashamed at their own cowardice.
They need that sweet, sweet sequel money.
Even Captain Lady Trucker and Bubs, who were on the outside of the ship at the time of the explosion, were saved too.
I want to see this guy's cut of Rogue One, by the way.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought of like Scream 4. I was just like, oh, you've done the most gutsy thing in the world. And then they walk it back right away. And you're like, oh, you suck.
So lame, man. We cut to sometime later. Now Bubs is an android lady. The crew uses Baby
with just the same voice box and everything, which is hilarious.
It is
That's
awesome.
Great.
Once again, further driving home my thought that they just miscast the actor.
It's like, no, that's normal.
The crew uses baby robot for Tejo to speak to his daughter, who they amazingly left dead, and Earth is terraformed back to the green and blue jewel that it once was. They were so close to making a great, great movie. So close. But the people who made this movie are cowards. The end.
I love it when you take a position.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. For me, the movie ended probably 30 minutes before it actually ended anyways. So
I was going to say, it had a great approach to making you like the ending, which is give me anything, just let it end. So I can't criticize it too much because it did, in fact, end.
yeah, you got to a wrap up and you were like, okay, there you go. We finally did it, because it felt like we were just walking around the yard a little bit, just going like the game's over, but we still kind of want to hang out for a while. It's like, no.
Yeah, that is what it felt like.
And I can't help but like think how my mind would have been blown by an hour 45 version.
Yeah, and here's the thing. There's a lot in here that like you could cut, and like some stuff like that's character things, and like sure,
if you'll
fine,
know, I
you
didn't
could
even
still
mention
cut
the
it.
French guitarist.
You know, I appreciated that there were actually quite a few things you didn't mention.
Mhm.
Yeah, when like the French guitarist was a funny one. The odd thing that like when they're doing their hostage negotiation, that's all in Spanish for some reason.
The diversity of language was just really cool. How
It is
like,
cool.
we're in this post-apocalyptic world where the idea of Earth nations doesn't really stick around, but some people still have their language. And I think that's part where I appreciated the dub more than I would have the sub.
Well, and they also mention it too, and it kind of plays into it, I guess, where like they mentioned like a translator or something. Am I remembering that correct?
Yeah, universal translator.
Yeah, so like in a sense, even watching it dubbed is fine in that way, because it's like you're still getting that kind of same info just as they would in a weird sci-fi sense.
And I like it because the English-speaking characters, they didn't really have to dub, because you can tell that they spoke their lines in English and had subtitles added.
Yeah.
You know, just little nice things you see in a dub.
No.
Yeah.
Or they just dubbed them again. Which more likely. All right, before we get to our final rating, we have to find out how this crusty Earth sci-fi Korean film relates back 1-to-1 with Sylvester Stallone.
Why, thank you, Adam. I have a prepared statement.
Oh.
Hello, Mr. Stallone, or as people who greet each other say in Korean, hello. A Korean space movie shot by, produced by, and starring people who have never left South Korea? It should be really easy to find a Stallone connection this week, but it turns out it's actually not. Weird, I know. This week's Stallone connection is the Korean film industry itself, because I was able to find a few connections, but they are weak as the ending to Space Sweepers. Like in 2006, you said that one of your favorite action movies is a Korean war movie from 2004 called The Brotherhood of War. You went on to say that not only was it one of your favorite war movies, it was one of your favorite action movies. So it looks like I have another Korean movie I want to watch. You have also options on a remake of a Korean movie with a really great name, and it's called The Gangster, the Cop, the Devil. Pretty cool name. And in 2018, you made a brief appearance in the Trump administration's 4-minute video to persuade North Korea to rejoin the world community. I have the benefit of living in the future, and it turns out that the Trump administration video didn't work.
Rats.
Unless you know something that I don't know. Anyway, that's the Stallone connection this week. Korean cinema. I hope to hear from you soon. Your pal, Sweet Chauncey from the internet.
I'd like to think that Stallone has a couple of international relations things in his back pocket he just doesn't tell nobody about. He's just like, listen, I got some dealings. I talked to some people. I just don't put it out on Front Street like everything else. I want to give you another Expendables movie, not bore you with all my political machinations over in Korea.
He's like the
Wouldn't it
dude.
be great if just unexpectedly he showed up for a very small part in this movie and like nobody reacted to it?
It's just like, oh yeah, that's the guy that's in the Wiener commercials.
He's the it's like the guy from Little Caesars who was paying like a bunch of famous people's apartments that were poor.
Oh
that
yeah,
they
yeah,
had been
yeah.
famous. Like he did it with a lot of like people who should have been taken care of and
Yeah,
weren't.
the guy who founded Little Caesars paid for Rosa Parks' apartment
Oh, I
for
did
like
hear about that.
years and
Among
years.
others.
Yeah,
Yeah, I knew about
Amongst
the Rosa
others.
Parks, but I didn't know about the others.
pretty cool. All right, here at HMP we have our own patented Robin rating system. Bruce, where does Space Sweepers fall on the Robin rating system for you?
You know, the novelty of it, the ambition of it, the visual effects of it. I want to give this a good rating. Too long is the drawback. We've talked about that. Didn't pass the phone test all the way through for me. So it is there in Damian Wayne territory, but don't let that scare you off. Don't feel like you have to finish it, but I do think you ought to start it.
Yeah, John.
I hate that I have to give it a Tim Drake. I want so desperately to give this movie a Dick Grayson because I love this movie so much. But the people who made this movie are cowards. So it's a Tim Drake.
You hear how he's tempting Korea right now?
Oh boy.
I mean, like
They know they're cowards.
We got enough.
They know what they
We got
did.
enough problems over here. Bruce is already upset 3/4 of India.
I know, man. They love their leopards.
So who's to say? For me, I'm a little torn. Because I kind of like. I feel like I gotta go. I feel like I gotta go a high Damian Wayne. Like, because I did like it. I love the ambition of it. I like the main structure of the swaths of the story and stuff. It automatically loses one for sure because of the length. It's just way too bloody long. It could lose bare minimum a half hour, probably 45 plus, and it would make this movie so much better. And you could, like you said, you could cramp off some of that ending there, and of course some of the other character things that, like, while nice, don't really add overall too much to the story itself. But worth a look. I think Bruce is right. It's like it is worth checking out and everything. And if it's something that you get into, I think you'll really like it. But if you kind of find yourself wavering and everything, just stick with it. You know, you might check into your phone every now and then, but come back to it because there are moments that will later come that you go like, oh no, that's really cool. That looks interesting. That looks better than some of the fights and stuff that we've seen on Star Wars as of late. It's just true.
And it's really cool seeing Bubs with his harpoon
neat
in
looking.
space, just taking out ships with that thing. It's just so dang cool.
He's got a what was the character in Rogue One? He's got that vibe a little bit.
Oh, yeah, a little
Alan
bit.
Tudyk's character.
Yeah, Alan Tudyk's robot
Yeah.
character. I forget what the call sign for that guy is, but
K2SO.
K2, yeah, very good. Yeah, it's got a very K2SO vibe to him and stuff like that. Just put him in an Adidas jacket and you're good to go.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. That is it, everybody. We'll talk about what we're doing next week. But in the meantime, Bruce, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
Just float around there, randomly type in websites and see if I show up there.
Go do it. Go do a search, a deep dive, if you will. See what you can conjure up. This is kind of like our, finding a murderer on the internet. Just see if you can find Bruce Leslie.
I'm intensely working on my silly little movie, so I'm not doing much else right now.
You'll see. You'll all see. Sean, what else can people see out there?
We have another podcast called Star Wars 30 Questions, and this time around we're on Ahsoka 30 Questions, where we ask 30 questions of the latest episode of Ahsoka, and we're about to record that once we're finished with this.
Ooh, we got a lot of stuff to talk about over there, everybody. So join us on that show as well as this one. And if you can, man, join us over at patreon.com/HMB, pre-show, post-show, Dinger Zone. And of course, vote on the horror movies that we're going to be watching next month here in October. That is it, everybody. Join us next week as Sweet Shawnzy Loves Spaceships continues. And our new movie is Murder in Space from 1985.
If I can, let me pitch the movie to you guys if you're still listening. And if you're still listening, God bless. Mm-hmm. Bless. So it's Murder in Space. It may or may not be a TV movie, unsure. Martin Balsam is in it. Michael Ironside is in it. But number one on the call sheet, Wilford Brimley is in it. So
Man,
please check
man.
out Murder in Space next week with Wilford Brimley.
Wilford Brimley, get your diabetes together, everybody. We are going to space. For Sweet Sean's and Kovacs from the internet, Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Porters. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Marty and Evie.